So if you play on artificial grass, this might just be some of the best news you've had this year. Essentially, it's a little secret that hides inside of the boots. And in today's video, I'll tell you what it is, why it's brilliant, and also help you decide between what I think are two of the best options available if you play on artificial grass. So let's dive in. So what you have here is PUMA's new Ultra Ultimate in the AG and MG variation. AG standing for artificial grass, MG standing for multi-ground. But in reality, both of these are actually made with artificial grass pitches in mind. And honestly, they are also both quite good. But the real secret is actually this one, the insole. And I know, you might just be thinking, what, Jay? You might just go back to binge watching shorts, because how in the world is it worth your time spending 5 minutes hearing me waxing lyrical about an insole? And I get you, but it's worth your time, trust me, because on this insole here, you have what is called an Ortholite O-therm material. It's basically an aerogel infused material that is something that has a good thermal resistance. And in plain English, that means that basically it goes in to act as a barrier, to block and insulate against cold and against heat. And the reason it's so brilliant, basically, is that if you've ever tried playing on an artificial grass pitch, especially in the summer, you'll probably also know that if you wear boots with a dark or, God forbid, a black outsole like this one, the pitch can feel very, very, very warm. Those little black rubber pellets down there, when the sun starts to shine, it gets warm, it can get blisteringly hot. And sometimes it can even feel as if your foot is just boiling inside the boot, just being stuck in there, moving around. It's quite awful. However, with O-therm here, as the liner material on the insole, it kind of goes in to act as an insulating barrier for that heat coming up to your foot. So it's not going to take everything away, but it will take away the worst of it. And also, of course, if you play in the winter, the pitch is very, very cold and you feel some of that cold seeping up through the outsole. Well, it's also insulating against that. So yeah, quite brilliant, really. And you know what the best bit is? It actually seems to work. So I've tested it wearing one of these and then numerous other boots on the other foot, and I actually felt a significant difference in foot temperature, which is quite cool. Now, it's not gonna keep your feet completely cool and all that stuff, but it's definitely a good enough change for me to feel that difference, to feel better when playing on a warm artificial pitch. And what's even better on top of that, both the AG outsole and especially the MG outsole here are among the best for me when it comes to playing on artificial grass. They're cooking. They are cooking. So on the AG outsole here, you have 15 conical studs instead of the 11 Speedtrax bladed studs that are shaped like little T's on the FG boot here. And the reason you have that is that when you play on artificial grass, you want more studs that are also conical. And the thinking behind that is that when you plant your foot in a boot with bladed studs and you start to move and rotate that boot, a bladed stud simply has a harder time moving through the ground, simply rotating because of the shape, whereas a conical stud, it's simply round, so rotates a lot more freely and a lot easier. That also means that when you have a bladed stud, you put your foot down, your foot is stuck. It doesn't really rotate that easily, so while the boot is stuck, your leg keeps moving, and that is a recipe for disaster. It can lead to some very, very nasty knee injuries, so you want to avoid that. Now, also one thing is by having more studs, you spread out the pressure that you get when you plant your foot. And that means less pressure on each stud, which in turn means that you simply have, again, it's less firmly placed in the ground. So again, it can rotate a bit more freely. And in terms of safety and injury prevention on artificial grass, freedom of movement is what you're looking for. Now, the AG outsole here is perfect for using on modern 4G pitches like the one I'm sitting on here, but also you can use it as an alternative on a good firm ground natural pitch to that slightly more aggressive FG outsole. It's a little bit more balanced and not as hardcore. So it kind of works for both, a bit of a hybrid, this one. However, if you play on a 4G pitch that's a little bit more worn down, you know, it's kind of battered and it's not as lush, Or alternatively, if you play on an older pitch like a 3G or a 2G pitch, I would definitely take a look at the MG outsole here, because unlike the AG version that has 15 studs, this comes with 24 studs that are smaller and also a little shorter. And again, when we talk about freedom of movement and rotational maneuverability, it's just that much better. And actually, for me, when it comes to traction, because you have that many little traction points in the ground, and especially safety, these are in the top 2 for the best AG outsoles out there, alongside the Mizuno AG outsole. So it's really good, and when you put it down on the ground, there's so many little points where it just grips. It works really well with that AG surface. And again, when it comes to injury prevention, they're not completely safe, but they reduce the risk of injury by quite a big margin, especially compared to one of these. Now, what I also really like about both boots here is that basically they've been made for AG. So they have this extra reinforcement, extra plastic reinforcement on the toe of the boot. And the AG version also comes with this higher toe bumper on the outsole, which basically goes into make the boots and the bonding in that toe area where boots usually split when you're playing on AG, it makes it more durable. So PUMA have actually thought about this. They've thought about all the ins and outs of wearing boots on AG, and I like that. It's not just a repurposed FG outsole. Oh, and one more important thing I need to mention is the sizing in the boots, because when I go through the size, UK 6 for me, in the Ultra FG, it does run a little bit long, quarter to half a size maybe, but when I go through the size, UK 6 in the AG and MG version, it does feel as if they are a little bit shorter. And for me, the length is perfect. And also what's funny when it comes to the width, the FG and the MG version feel kind of similar, but the AG version feels a little bit wider. So of course, everything varies, people have different preferences and all that stuff, but it's just something to keep in mind if you already have an Ultra Ultimate and you consider getting an AG or an MG version. Keep it in mind. But for me, the fit in these is definitely better. But no matter which of these two sounds like the better option for you, I think in my book we are talking about two of the best outsoles for artificial grass at the moment. And given the fact that you have this Ortholite O-therm liner as a unique feature that actually acts as like a genuine quality of life improvement for me, it's just such a nice package. And especially when you add the fact that, again, for me, the Ultra Upper is among the best on the market. It's really hard to beat. And I think you can argue that it's hard to find a significantly better boot out there for artificial grass. Sure, the Mercurial AG boots are also really solid, and the Mizuno AG outsole, especially on the Alpha. But I do think that they're up there, and especially for me, this one is the one to beat right now. But what do you guys think? Do you also know that problem of having boiling feet when playing on artificial grass? And which of these two would you prefer? Well, let me know in the comment section right down below. Go and buy either of these two and all the other Ultras in the link right over there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on. And with those words, I'll be signing off. A cheerio. Can you cut now?